Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The director of Captain America: Brave New World recently revealed that the Illuminati were originally going to be in the movie. Specifically, he was talking about the end of the movie in the post-credit scene with the leader. Some of what he said is being misquoted by a lot of the big websites out there, so we'll break it all down. We already know that the movie went through some significant changes while they were making it, with whole storylines, characters cut out. A lot of the characters who did survive and got to stay in the movie got their storylines cut to ribbons or completely changed. It kind of doesn't make sense, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Illuminati probably got taken out of the movie. As crazy as that sounds, this is actually a common thing on big Marvel movies like this. They make all their movies like this, where there's like 10 different versions of the movie between the story that they started filming with and what it winds up being after they actually finish filming, then cut it down to death in the editing bay, like edit it to death, where you have enough deleted scenes that you could make an entire other movie with the deleted scenes. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Thankfully, it does sound like Marvel has a real plan for the rest of this year with Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, how it all works together with Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So at least they're going to try and land this plane the next couple of years without it completely crashing to the ground. But you can kind of see how the making of Captain America: Brave New World was just a complete mess from start to finish. We actually learned about all this from a recent interview that the Hollywood Trades did with the director of the movie after it came out, Julius Ona, talking about all the changes they made to the movie during production, the reshoots, and specifically how they handled that post-credit scene. So careful for spoilers if you have not seen the movie yet, because we'll be talking about the post-credit scene. He did say there was only ever going to be one post-credit scene. There was never going to be a mid-credit scene or two post-credit scenes. Sometimes Marvel movies will have multiple scenes after or during the credits. They always wanted to end the movie between Captain America and the leader talking about the multiverse, but this is where it gets surprising. The interviewer mentions to the director that the Illuminati were supposed to be part of the movie. My assumption from the way he phrases his question and the way the director answers it, they're talking about the very end of the movie in the post-credit scene. He says, "You mentioned there's no shortage of characters in this movie, but from what I hear, there were also at a time going to be more. There was going to be an Illuminati at one point in this script. Who was in your Illuminati, your version of the Illuminati? Because we saw them in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I need to know who was in your team." And the director never flat out denies that the Illuminati were in the movie. He never says that's incorrect, like, no, you're mistaken, the Illuminati were never in the script or we never thought about them. He just said, "I'm not going to say who was in my Illuminati. I'm not going to say," and then just starts laughing. Let's just say things are purposefully left vague in that post-credit scene for a reason. This is where a lot of people, a lot of big websites are getting confused, because myself, a lot of other big websites out there, a lot of other people that follow the making of actual Marvel movies from start to finish, never heard about the Illuminati ever being part of any verses. I never heard any Illuminati rumors, even the smallest of rumors from like the unreliable websites out there. So this is like the first I've heard of Illuminati being in the movie in a big way. But the way his conversation with the director goes down, it kind of does sound like there was an early version of the movie where they ended on an Illuminati reveal after that post-credit scene. Because in the theatrical cut that we all just saw, the post-credit scene feels kind of incomplete, like a half of a post-credit scene. It feels like one of the weakest post-credit scenes that Marvel's ever released. Like, wait a minute, isn't there supposed to be some more stuff here? Like a bigger reveal of something? It sounds like at one point the leader was going to tell him about the others that he mentions in the post-credit scene coming for this world. Like, what are you going to do to protect the world from the others that are coming, the other worlds that are coming to destroy this Earth? Then they would have ended on a teaser of them showing you one of those threats, like one of those other teams that was actually coming, like another Illuminati team. Even if they didn't show their faces, there would have been some reference to what this other actual team that was coming was going to look like. Sort of like a Thanos Avengers Age of Ultron post-credit scene, where it's just like a very brief moment where he puts on the Infinity Gauntlet and you know that he's coming, but you don't know exactly how that's going to happen. He just says that he is coming. Like, fine, I'll do it myself. But it's another team from another universe coming. When the interviewer asked who was on your Illuminati team, I also instantly thought of the 838 version from the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which he also mentioned specifically, like, we just saw that team in Doctor Strange. Scarlet Witch killed most of that team, so it couldn't have been that exact roster showing up in the movie, but there were a couple members of that team that got cut from the movie that weren't part of that fight. And there were friends of the people that she killed on that team, or in some cases family members of those teammates that she killed. I did a couple videos about this after that movie came out a couple years ago. Doctor Strange 2 came out. We learned that the 838 versions of both Iron Man and Doctor Doom were separately supposed to be in the movie, not at the same time, not together, but the idea is the actual roster of characters you see changed a couple times while they were actually making the movie for a couple different reasons. One of the reasons why that movie is kind of infamous is because it was filmed during the height of the pandemic. It created so many problems for all movie studios filming all their movies, not just Marvel movies, but like every movie studio had a big problem. There were a lot of big shutdowns, a lot of actors didn't become available because they were sick or they didn't want to travel because they were afraid of catching the pandemic. Like Daniel Craig was supposed to be a version of Baldur the Brave. Instead of Black Bolt being in the movie, it would have been his character. But when they actually needed him to film his scenes in the movie, he was too afraid to travel. Like, he wasn't sick, he was just afraid to travel, so he refused to be in the scene. There were people that had scheduling problems because of shutdowns on other movies they were working on, like Tom Cruise was going to be another version of Iron Man in the movie, but he was in the middle of filming a Mission Impossible movie, which were having their own scheduling problems because of the pandemic. And after the movie came out and they released the commentary track, they revealed separately that Doctor Doom was going to be one of the other characters that they wanted on that team. But it sounds like they chose to remove him when they couldn't get the actor they wanted, and they decided that they didn't want this to be his introduction into the MCU, just in general, like the MCU multiverse, that is, because Wanda was always going to kill off the entire team, and they didn't want to introduce him just to kill him off right away. So for a little while, it sounds like John Krasinski's Reed Richards was supposed to be on an Illuminati team with his Doctor Doom. That's why, during the behind-the-scenes commentary, the writer says that Reed Richards' portal that he uses in the movie was borrowed from Doctor Doom's time door, because it sounds like they actually worked together on the team and Doctor Doom just shared that technology with him.
The detail of the teleportation device he uses to get into the scene is something we took from the comics. That's Doctor Doom's time door.
Normally, you'd think they would have cut Doctor Doom from the movie because they hired Robert Downey Jr. to come back as the character with a completely different plan for all the movies coming after that with Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, all that stuff. But remember, they made this Doctor Strange movie before they decided to bring Robert Downey Jr. back, and while they were still all in on Jonathan Majors' Kang as their next big Avengers villain. So this is long before Marvel made all those changes behind the scenes. So there's still a lot of confusion about whether the Captain America director was going to include an MCU version of the Illuminati, or they would have been from another universe like the 838 universe. This is one of those things that makes zero sense too, with there being an MCU Illuminati. It's way too soon for that in the MCU. Most of the characters who would be on the MCU version of the team haven't been introduced yet, or are too far off-world, or they're in another universe, like Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards. He hasn't even come to the MCU yet. There is no current MCU version of Professor X. Sam Wilson Captain America was never on an Illuminati team. It was Steve Rogers Captain America that was on the Illuminati. So I think had the Illuminati stayed in the script, they actually stayed in the movie, it would have either been the survivors of the 838 universe team coming for revenge after what happened with their team being killed off, or a totally different universe version of the team coming for a time runs out storyline, because we are heading into Avengers Doomsday, and they are kind of doing a version of time runs out during Avengers 5. If you haven't read that comic book storyline, it's great. I would recommend checking it out before Avengers Doomsday starts. During that comic book storyline, they learn about the incursions and other Earths getting ready to actually physically collide with their main universe version of Earth unless they kill those other worlds, destroy them before it destroys them. So you wind up with characters from different universes battling each other, multiverse style. It's super messed up, but that's kind of the point. It's the big lead up to Secret Wars, where the entire multiverse collapses and Doctor Doom becomes God Emperor Doom, forming Battleworld. That's kind of the direction we're headed with Avengers 5 Doomsday in the MCU version of Secret Wars. Based on everything the director said and all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes with the making of Brave New World, I think what changed is the main reason why there's no Illuminati reveal in the theatrical version of the movie is because of the way Marvel changed their whole Avengers plan from Kang Dynasty to Doomsday with Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. And here's the even bigger reason. Because Marvel wasn't ready to reveal Robert Downey Jr. on screen yet. Under normal circumstances, you tease a multiverse team is coming to destroy you, you're heading into Avengers 5, they would have normally ended that scene on a big reveal of his Doctor Doom to set up Doomsday. But we actually learned a long time ago, like last year, Kevin Feige wanted to wait till the new Fantastic Four movie to reveal his new Doctor Doom for the first time in live action. So that's why the Captain America post-credit scene feels like a wet fart of an ending to a movie that's too vague, but it was almost way better. Here's the thing though, I won't say it would have fixed the movie completely, but if people had heard that they could have seen Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom for the first time in live action, it probably would have gotten way more butts in seats, way more ticket sales. But I don't think it would have saved the movie. You can't make a movie a hit purely on the promise of a post-credit scene. We're all looking at you, Black Adam. You know what you did. Henry Cavill being in that movie as Superman did nothing to help the box office. It was still very poor. Everybody let me know in the comments, do you think they should have included an Illuminati scene in that post-credits right after that, or like a Robert Downey Jr. scene after what the leader says? Or do you think Marvel was right to cut its losses and just forget about it entirely? It sounds like a big mess. It also sounds like the Russos didn't want to deal with the Illuminati in Avengers 5, so they're like, no, don't tease the Illuminati because we're not going to pay off Illuminati during Avengers 5. That Captain America director specifically said that they didn't want to do things in the post-credit scene, that there weren't promises that they would pay off, so that's why there is no mid-credit scene, because it does sound like if they had done a mid-credits, it would have been a larger Illuminati type of scene. So I guess if you really wanted them in the movie, you can blame the Russos' plan for Avengers 5 for them not being in the movie. If we wind up learning more about what's going on, of course I'll do more videos, but we have Thunderbolts coming up. We should get some more trailers for that really soon. I just saw an IMAX trailer. I might do a video for that in the next couple of days. Marvel just canceled a whole bunch of TV shows, some movies, so I might do a video for that soon too. There's a bunch of Daredevil trailers, and we're getting Daredevil episodes very, very soon. Of course, I'll be doing all the videos for that week to week. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Everybody click here to learn about Marvel bringing back all the Defenders characters now, and click here for my Captain America post-credit scene video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.